Welcome into the 8th episode of Meet Your Alderman. My name is Jon Zaghloul, our Communications Director. Great to have you here as we continue this series. This month we're talking with Aurora's longest tenured member of the City Council as we talk about his illustrious 40-plus year career as an alderman, plus his continued goals for the city's 6th Ward. He's a longtime Aurora resident, a 40-plus year alderman here at the City of Aurora, and he runs the 6th Ward of Aurora. Let's welcome Alderman Mike Saville to Meet Your Alderman. Alderman Saville, great to have you here. How are you?
I'm very good, John. Thank you for inviting me. Look forward to the interview today.
Absolutely. Great to have you here. And I want to make sure that I repeat this, not just for effect, but so everybody at home understands. 40-plus years in office and 11 terms.
Yes.
That's been your career so far as an alderman in the City of Aurora. That's got to be some sort of a record.
I think it is as well. I've been really blessed by my constituents. They still like me after all these years, and they like the partnership that we've formed together.
What gives you the energy to continue to serve and represent the 6th Ward after all this time?
Well, I was born and raised in Aurora, and I was born in the old Copley Hospital. My grandparents lived out on the block on South Lincoln, but we lived on the west side of town. In fact, I've lived in the 6th Ward all my life. And I went to McCleary and Jefferson. I'm a graduate of West Aurora High School. And then I went away to college. And I just love everything about Aurora. We have roots with our family. My dad went to Mooseheart here and graduated from Mooseheart, he and his 2 sisters, when their folks suddenly died. I just love everything about Aurora. It has so much to offer with the people.
What about the 6th Ward specifically? Because you were born and raised there, you've represented the ward for 40-plus years. So tell me about that transition from how it was when you first grew up to how it is today.
Well, when I first grew up, there was not a lot of development going west of the Elmwood Drive. In fact, when we moved in that Memorial Day weekend, there was not even a road. It was literally mud. My mom thought the movers were going to get stuck and we weren't going to have any belongings to sleep on that night. And we saw 2 deer in our backyard that first week when we moved in. And of course, westward expansion continued until now everything is filled in. But in those days, it was all cornfield and soybeans back then. So and then the whole development of the city has really occurred with those large annexations in the late 60s, early 70s, and put us on this current trajectory that we're currently experiencing and benefiting from them.
Absolutely. There's been so much change in Aurora over the past, you could even say 15 years, let alone 40-plus years for you as an alderman, even going back to when you were a young child. Talk about that change a little bit. What's been the biggest change that you've seen from when you grew up to now today?
Well, of course, like I say, the population increase. We went from 50-some thousand to around 200,000 people, so that made a difference. We're a more diversified city than we were before. We have a great diversity population, not only people, but religions and cultures and age groups. And we are really a good-sized cosmopolitan city, separate from the city of Chicago, that have our own history and our own interests and our own desires and willingness and partnership to work together to improve ourselves in our community. It's been a wonderful experience thus far that we're on, and I think we've had good leaders in the past, and we continue to experience a good leadership in partnership with the people that we represent in our community.
What prompted you to step up and be a leader and run for Ward 6 Alderman at the time?
Well, my family had a history of when we got together and did family togethers, so to speak. We always talked about family issues first, but towards the end of the evening, when that part of the segment of our family to get together was over, the adults of the family would always talk about politics. And I don't know why, I don't know what the heck they were talking about, but I just found it fascinating, would always make sure that I would sit down on the couch next to them and just listen. I didn't have anything to add. And so one time when I was age 8 years old, and I think it was the 3rd grade then, somebody made a point about something, and I said to myself, well, I could do this. And I've always been interested in current events and politics and government ever since. And so when I went away to college in Whitewater, Wisconsin, I decided to major in political science, hoping that somehow I could get involved in the community when I came back. And that's exactly what happened. I was very fortunate.
And you started as a plan commissioner before you became an alderman, correct?
Yes. Well, first I became a volunteer in the community with Chet Albright when he was alderman of the 6th Ward prior to me. And I would volunteer with him, and I would run his campaigns. And he says, Mike, we have a vacancy on the planning commission. The mayor, Jack Hill, is looking for somebody. Would you be interested if you put in a good word for me, and they can look over my resume? And I says, I would. He explained to me what the planning commission did, and I says, yeah, I think I would very much be interested. And I was very fortunate that Jack Hill did appoint me to the planning commission with the approval of the city council, and that's really how I got my start. Now, I was very happy being a planning commissioner. In fact, I liked it so much, I felt that I could be there forever. That's the type of enjoyment and what I was learning and what I was giving back to the committee. And then there was an opportunity when Chet Albright took a position at Mooseheart, and he suggested I put my hat in the ring. And I did. I applied to the new mayor, Dave Pierce, and said that I would be interested in be considered to fill the vacancy. And there was 2 other people applying for the same position, and then Dave Pierce liked what he saw and appointed me, and the rest is kind of history after that. So I've been very, very fortunate.
Take me back to when you first campaigned for the role. So you obviously you applied for the role, got it, then you had to campaign. I'm just curious, what was the difference between campaigning back then versus now doing it today? Because you're still successful in doing it, so I'm curious, what's been that difference over the past 40 plus years?
Well, the big difference is more people know me today than they did back then.
I'm sure they do.
And I have a track record, which I didn't have necessarily in the beginning. And so I have the experience that they see to benefit themselves and their neighborhoods and 6th Ward and the community in what we've been able to conform as the partnership together. So I think that's, and then of course everything marches on with time. The ward is a little bit different because we've made improvements together with this partnership that we've been able to form. And been able to solve and resolve a lot of major important issues in the community. For example, in my ward alone, we've spent $18 million on water improvements, storm, sanitary, decombining, and water mains as well. And now we're changing with regard to the lead. Right. That's going to be another 10-year endeavor throughout the city before we can be able to accomplish that. So there's always something to do. There's always an improvement. I've been able to increase the parks. We've got 7 new parks based in the 6th Ward that we didn't have in 1985. And that was a partnership that I heard from people. They wanted something besides a safe place to live and work and raise a family and go to school and practice their religion. They wanted amenities too, and that's what parks did. It became a recreational type situation for them and their families. And when I first came to the council, I knew about the Fox Valley Park District plans to build a bike trail both north of the downtown and south of the downtown. They weren't built yet. They were still in the planning stages. And it was my feeling that, well, they're ignoring the downtown. Why are they not talking about the downtown? It's because they felt that the downtown was a physical impediment, that they couldn't get around it. But I was young, and I thought, well, we could do it if we put our mind to it. So that's when I formed the Riverwalk Commission.
So tell me more about the Riverwalk Commission. I mean, that turned into, I think, a much bigger endeavor than maybe what it was intended to be initially. It turned into a great thing for the downtown. So tell me about how that led to what we have downtown today in some respects.
Well, the dream that we currently are experiencing was what I dreamed about for us. And the reason why is because I had an occasion to study a year in college in Copenhagen, Denmark, for a year in Europe. And I was able to travel around throughout that year and still go to school. And I saw what those European cities did with their riverfronts and ocean fronts and lakefronts. And I thought, we could do this in Aurora. And so I was naive to think that at the time, being young, that yes, we could do this, and I wasn't going to let anybody stop me with my idea. I just needed to convince people and have them come on board, and that's exactly what we did. I proposed the Riverwalk Commission idea in August of 1986, something that Naperville had already done successfully. And I thought, well, if Naperville can do it around their creek, we can do that around our river, right? Because we have a beautiful Fox River. And so we proposed this, and it was approved in 1987, and we started meeting in early 1988 with the idea to build not only a river walk along the river, but to build a whole theme of an aesthetic improvement for the entire downtown, to uplift it. Because when I first proposed the idea of a Riverwalk Commission, we had 7 different streetlight standards. 7. So that to me says there was no thought to, or rhyme or reason to what we're trying to accomplish within the downtown. And now, of course, we have one historic district streetlight standard. We have park benches, we have pavers, we have street trees, we have flowers, and we have a tool for development and redevelopment that we didn't have that brings some cogency, some rhyme and reason to the downtown, so it looks beautiful and looks pleasing, because ultimately shopping is an emotional experience. You want people to be happy when they shop, when they come down and bring their families to all the different downtown events that we have. And we have a lot of downtown events that we never had before. And that's been the beauty of establishing this Riverwalk Commission, to work with so many people, not only the citizens that volunteered for the commission, but the city council and the community and all the businesses as well. It's been a great, great partnership that we're not done yet. We still have room to improve and build upon.
What's been the evolution in your time frame of the downtown? What was it like when you grew up? How did it change in the beginning, or in the middle period, and then what is it like today to you?
Well, that's a good question, because I'm currently in the process of building a presentation on behalf of the Kiwanis that I've been asked to present in September, that very thing, the history of the downtown. So if you could look at when we were first established as a community in the 1800s, all the way up until the 1960 and especially 1974, we were the regional economic hub of all of the community in our surrounding area, because we were never considered a suburb of Chicago. The cities of Waukegan and Elgin and Aurora and Joliet and Kankakee were always considered separate satellite cities. And between us and Chicago was just cornfield. It was only when all that cornfield was filled in that the suburbs touched these satellite cities that they decided to call us a suburb, but we really weren't. So all these communities in these rural areas would come to us to shop and to eat and to visit and go to the theaters, because we had everything. We had the car dealerships, we had the industries. We were a heavy manufacturing strong town that we benefited from for 150 years during the Industrial Revolution. And so that happened until World War II, when cars became less expensive and everybody could afford them. That's when the shopping center was discovered. And so that shopping center trend started with Northgate in my ward in around 1960 or so, and started drawing all of these businesses away from the downtown, like Sears was in Aurora. They moved to Northgate. So the S sign that we have right now stands for 3 things. Stoner, who built Northgate, Shaw's, who still owns today Ace Hardware, and Sears, which is now the driver's license facility. That's for the S. And then we had other businesses leave. We had West Plaza was built. And so that was the trend of the downtown demolishing buildings and making room for parking lots. So a lot of these empty spaces now, we have parking lots, whereas before we had buildings and businesses. So that took away some of our tax base as well. And so when the Fox Valley Mall opened up after the Far East annexations in 1974, that was the death knell of the downtown. So that was the first phase of the downtown, where it goes to its zenith and then it starts to decline, and then all of a sudden overnight it's gone. And so the community, to their benefit, decided, well, what do we do in our downtown? We have to do something. and it was thought that we should refurbish the Paramount. And so the Aurora Civic Center Authority was established with the Illinois Civic Center Authority statute, and we bought the Paramount and refurbished it. That was the beginning of the second phase. And so then we hired economic development director in the early 1980s. We started establishing our inner city with density reduction because of the disastrous upzoning in 1957, which if you want, we could talk about that later on. And then we started with the establishment of the SSAs, the downtown SSA, on the east side of the downtown with the pavers and the street furnitures and the like. That was the beginning of this beautiful aesthetic upliftment that we were just beginning later on, helping to finish with the Riverwalk Commission. And then we waited for the market to turn, and it was the Paramount was the driving force. And then they built the Civic Center Authority. That was originally supposed to be the new City Hall. And Jack Hill, to his credit, when he was mayor, he says, we don't need another vacant building because we just moved from City Hall and the police station in the downtown and demolished those and built, again, a parking lot and moved in this building, which is the Nicor Gas headquarters back in the day. And then we established the mechanisms to move the downtown. We established historic preservation criteria as well. And so we're slowly building these building blocks to turn around the downtown. And then the Civic Center Authority became something that only the Civic Center Authority had. It was the new City Hall. So we have that. But they didn't have enough money for the Riverwalk then. So we knew we had to build, we wanted to save the roundhouse. So that was already on our radar, but we established the new train depot there. Mm-hmm. That was phase one. The second phase was the actual roundhouse itself. And so when the casino was coming to the area and the state of Illinois passed the riverboat gaming legislation, nobody wanted the casino. They were visiting us, not only Aurora, but Geneva and Batavia and the like, and everybody said no, they were afraid of it because it was new. And we had a meeting early on, made up of city staff and business people and myself, to say, look, we think we should consider the casino. We think there's merit there. Let's form a committee and let's introduce this to the city council and explain to the city the merits of this. And that's exactly what we did. And we convinced the community that this is going to be okay, and the city council felt comfortable about it. And we adopted it, the new casino, and they opened up in June of 1993. And so we started using those monies, plowing it back into the city. For example, the community like Atlantic City, they decided to not pour the money back to the community that where the other parts of the city would feel the benefits. They decided to give people a tax cut. That's fine, but it didn't uplift the community. It didn't increase the tax base. It didn't provide a mechanism to solve the problems of their older city. But we chose to do that. So with our older parts of the city, our older and other areas of the city throughout, because every ward benefited from this, experience an upliftment. And that's what I'm hoping for the new casino as well. And so that was the beginning of putting us on the map with the new train station, with the casino, and then the roundhouse a year later with Walter Payton's roundhouse. That again put us on the map. We started seeing some development in the downtown. We saw the rolling on the river. We saw other establishments come into the downtown. We saw the expansion of the casino. We had the standards of the park index built with a new Riverwalk in 1992, I believe it was, and where people could see and generate the excitement of what's going on within our downtown. But the driving force has always been the Paramount, the Copley Theater, the Stope Island Theater, and now the River Edge Park. We did that as well. And we're bringing people in the downtown. We're creating excitement. It's just been the phase that we're experiencing now. Now we're going into the third phase of this. The second phase was building everything up, making us a different city. And now we're experiencing the benefits of the third phase with all these different restaurants and shops and the like that are coming in. And now, even though we've lost the casino, they've moved to I-88, the Farnsworth. We're not worried, we're not concerned. We think it's a positive and not a negative for our community.
Wow. Alderman Mike Saville, here on Meet Your Alderman, you get a history lesson about downtown too, which I appreciate. And Alderman, from your position on the City Council, what's it mean to you to be a part of all these big decisions that have shaped Aurora over the past 40 plus years?
Well, really, it's a blessing for me. I'm grateful to be a part of the conversation where I can add my 2 cents and listen to what people say and show results for what we're doing. It's really an opportunity to meet different people throughout our great city, throughout the different wards, and to be really a part of something, a community that means a lot to a lot of people, and a community that we feel proud to be in, to live in, to raise a family in, to work in, to play in, and to recreate. And we have so many positive things to offer. When our founding fathers saw the Fox River and decided that this is a good place to put down their stakes, they had something positive in mind. And I think we're carrying on that tradition.
Absolutely agree. There are so many good things still happening in Aurora. There's a lot of growth here. There are a lot of things happening as things move forward in the city. Alderman, wanted to ask also about Ward 6. Talk about Ward 6 for a second. Obviously, the ward has experienced, similar to the downtown, tons of growth during your time in office as Ward 6 Alderman. What are your continued priorities for Ward 6 as you move forward in representing the community?
Well, this part of my city, of course, that I represent has been around for a long time, and we're just now filling up the last of the farmland. And here it is, it's 2026. So the last buildings came up, or rose up from the ground, so to speak. The Redwood development in my ward on the far northwest section near the Walgreens and the water tower. They'll be finishing up in the fall. And I've been a part of the newer development. I've got newer areas and older areas. I've got manufacturing, I've got commercial, and there is still a strong dynamic that the 6th Ward is experiencing. And I think that's a good sign for not only the ward, but for the community. So it's been wonderful to be a part of that, to listen to what people have to say, to see how they would like development to occur and guide it in such a manner that I have the ability to do in partnership with them and the mayors and the city council that I've worked with.
What's your favorite part of Ward 6? Is there a favorite area you like to frequent?
Oh, I love Arrowwood, and I can tell you a unique story where I live. I grew up mostly on Elmwood Drive near McCleary School, and we were at the dead end. It was before Elmwood was punched through. And everything, like I say, north and the south was cornfield, right? And so the farmer, Mr. Greer, who lived on Foreign Lane, would hire us to help with the harvest of the sweet corn that he sold. And so we would walk the aisles of the corn, taking off the corn from the stalks and putting it in the truck. And I don't know what he charged us or what he paid us, like 25 cents an hour or something, some nominal amount. We were only teenagers back then, right? And then at the end, after the end of the harvest, we would go to their house, and Mrs. Greer would cook us this wonderful harvest dinner, And I would be doing this not knowing that one day that I would be living on this very property where I live today, which is Arrowwood subdivision, right across the street from this 19-acre park. And it's like, who knew that I would be shucking corn? and you will never guess what the price of the corn was in those days. 25 cents a dozen. That's
Wow.
how much we paid. And it was less than the stores. I think the stores were like 34 cents a dozen. And he would sell out because whatever seed that he was using was the best sweet corn seed that anybody ever had to this day.
Wow.
And then this is where I live. So, but every part of my ward is unique. I have 3 historic districts that I'm very proud of and very close to to making sure that they can have allocation of monies and resources to have the development to occur in such a manner where we can restore and save the historic nature of the neighborhoods.
Alderman Mike Saville still here with us on Meet Your Alderman, the 8th episode. Alderman, I had a couple of other questions related to Ukulele Fest. We talked about earlier one of your biggest creations, which is the Riverwalk Commission. Now we'll talk about Ukulele Fest, another brainchild of yours. So tell me first about how that all came together and how that's gone and resonated with the community since it formed.
Sure. Thank you for asking. Well, I've always been interested in music. In fact, we come from a musical family. It seems like everybody in my family played an instrument at least at one point in time. They didn't continue it necessarily too much in adulthood, but we were all encouraged to do that. And I chose two instruments. I chose the trombone and the guitar. Now, I didn't continue either one of those in adulthood, but I always just loved music. And then I noticed that on YouTube and on the internet, the popularity of the ukulele was just phenomenal nationwide for all ages. And I also knew that in the 8th grade of West High School District 129 and the middle schools, they taught ukulele. And I thought, well, what a great opportunity is to give people an opportunity themselves to do something that they love. And so I approached a constituent in my ward that is close to the music industry. And he knew the Hicks family, who I used to take lessons from when I was a child in learning guitar. And he asked if they would be interested in helping sponsor the Ukulele Festival. And of course, the rest of history, they said yes. And it's something that we provide for people, and it's a lot of fun. It's a positive endeavor that we have for the Ukulele Festival. It's for people of all ages. We have people performing of all ages, children and seniors, and it's just a great opportunity for people to enjoy a few hours with their friends and family.
What's been the growth like for the festival from the first year to now coming up year 10?
Well, the years have changed because we've gone from outside to inside. And we had good weather every year on the outside, but we thought, the luck would have it. We may not have good weather, and we'd have all this work done, and we couldn't have the festival. So we thought we should go indoors. So we went from outdoors in the downtown to the Roundhouse, and I think that's been a positive situation for us. And it's been steady, and I think people, like I say, have benefited from it and enjoy the opportunity to come and perform and or listen.
Is there a favorite song that you like to perform on the ukulele, or something that you like to perform on yours?
Well, I don't have a ukulele,
so...
Oh,
okay. My apologies.
That's okay. I'm so busy with everything, I don't have time to practice. I'm reluctant to buy a ukulele if I don't practice. I don't want to be sitting on the shelf and collect dust. So I think, I just think It's a Wonderful Life is a beautiful song, and it's one of my favorites. So
okay,
yeah,
that's good too. And Alderman, as we get near the end of today's episode, I'd like to wrap up by asking you this. 40 plus years on the council, 11 terms on the council. What's been the most rewarding part of your time as being an alderman?
Well, I think really, truly the most rewarding part has been helping people. I used to get phone calls at 2 a.m. in the morning for people flooding with their basements.
Wow.
And I told them, I said, I feel your pain. I know what you're going through. We'll do all our best to correct it, but I can't do it overnight. Just give us time. And they all understood. And to this day, I'm getting no more phone calls at 2 a.m. in the morning for flooding. And that makes me very, very happy. Because for most of us, our home is our biggest investment, and we want to be a safe environment for us and our family. So I think I take away from this as helping people. That's been very rewarding. And very, I guess, I like to take the long-term view. I don't like the short-term view. I like to try to look over the horizon to say, what can we do better today that's looking over the horizon rather than just in our face? And I think that's important to do, is to try to see the long-term benefits or maybe what may happen in a negative fashion. Maybe we shouldn't go that route together. So it's really the people. I like the people of the 6th Ward. We're a diverse ward. We have diverse, like I say, religious institutions and ethnic groups, and it's just really people coming from different walks of life coming together in the 6th Ward and improving our community. It's wonderful.
Alderman Mike Saville, thank you so much for joining us today on Meet Your Alderman. What an amazing episode. We hope you guys enjoyed too. Feel free to continue to tune in. We'll have another episode come out next month as we continue this series. Alderman, thank you so much.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it. Thanks for inviting me.
Until next time, so long.